Hello and welcome. Welcome to our happiness webinar.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to not only teach you the happiness formula, but also teach you how you can really incorporate that in your everyday life. And we feel happiness is such a big thing right now, right?
Yeah, we've been working on happiness in different ways and done our experiments, our ups and downs. And we think what we have to offer really will make a difference. It's just some simple steps that everybody can start with right away.
That's
today.
Right. And we're just going to give everyone a little more time to join. I see the members are clicking in. Thank you for making time for this really important subject right now, and also for making time for yourself. So this is not your usual webinar where we're going to just be selling you something and not tell you the secrets until right at the end. I can't stand those kind of things. Can you? So actually, we're going to start out once we're all on board with the happiness formula and really give it to you right away. So I invite you to take pen and paper, get it ready so that you can take notes. We'll be throwing a lot of information at you, obviously in very entertaining ways, so that you can digest it and really take tips that you could make your everyday life easier and happier.
Right, and just be sure you have the time available. So switch off your phones, no distraction. Let everybody know this is your hour, your time. So that's very important. So you have dedicated time, and then don't go, play around. Just stay focused, because this is more like, we call it a webinar, but we really want to share with you practical things that you can use right away. So you need to have your full dedication and your full attention. This is your time right now.
Right, and me time is an important part of actually creating happiness. And many of us struggle with that me time and might even feel overindulgent in creating me time or even scheduling that. So this is your me time. Let's enjoy it together. I see we have more participants clicking in, but we're going to get started now and just give you an overview of what we're going to be teaching you. I've written all the questions down. So we have, what is the happiness formula? Number one. Then, why do we need to find our innate joy before we can start creating bliss? Then, how we can train our ability to create and experience happiness at new levels. Then, why positive thinking and affirmations usually don't work and can even backfire. Then, this is really exciting, I love this one, how you can actually recalibrate your biological set point for happiness. Now, this is really new stuff. I can say that with...
It sounds scientific.
Well, it is. It's based on a lot of science. Everything that we're going to be teaching you here is based on the latest science that we've been researching, but also experience. And as you know us, or you maybe don't know us, we actually then take it another level. So then we're going to be talking about easy practices that you can take every day, that you can make time for every day, that you can actually start doing right away. So really easy stuff. So that's the basis of what we're going to be covering. Obviously, we're also going to be touching on other stuff as we move along. But this is so you know what's going to be on the schedule for today.
And, everything is going to be recorded, because sometimes people are just being a little overwhelmed by the new information. But it will be recorded and you will get a replay. So if you need to watch back, you will have that opportunity. I think tomorrow it's going to be ready, because
I don't know. We're going to be sending it out
from down,
especially also for those people who have not been able to join, because we have a limited capacity on this webinar. So do not fret. You will get the replay. So let's start out by introducing ourselves.
Yes, good plan.
Just a really quick intro. Who are you?
Well, number one, I think most of my time I've been a holistic medical doctor, working with really tough cases and going to the root cause of why people get sick and how to get them back to healing. And what I've learned is that the subconscious mind plays such an important role. And actually, it's not only with disease, but also for our lives, for our relationships, for how we sabotage ourselves. And disease is just one part of it. So that, caused that I start doing more and taught people workshops. And especially on self-prevention, healing. Later on my own spiritual path, I learned a lot of spirituality, so I share some insights on that. And currently we're teaching workshop worldwide, basically on, self-improvement. And my latest hobby is quantum. I love quantum. Yes, we love quantum.
Surfing the quantum field. We'll tell you a little bit about that because that also actually ties into happiness. But thank you for that intro.
Yes,
so welcome, Dr. Roy Martina. Happens to be my amazing husband, and I am Dr. Joy Martina. I call myself the psychic psychologist because I combine science with spirituality and psychology, and I use everything that I have learned in decades of helping others find their happiness. And I think right now is a huge time for all of us to really not only discover what happiness is, but not to give up on it, and to know that that happiness that we're often seeking on the outside, it really does have to start in here, but not in a woo-woo, difficult way, or if I'm going to ask you to meditate for 10 hours a day. No. Actually, they're very simple practices. When we know the formula, we can actually start using them every day. So without...
One little thing I think I want to add to that, because we said what we do separate, but also as a couple. I think it's very important to note that we got married, what's it by now, 7 years ago, 7 years. And we have learned so much, from teaching together, but also being together, working with each other. So I think also in a relationship, it's so important to really understand how to function as a couple.
Crucial. So
I just want to add that little thing.
Thank you for adding that. So Roy and I, yes, we've been teaching together now for 8 years across the globe. And if you ask me what I do, I teach people how to be happy, and I teach them how to overcome sabotage. And so often we sabotage ourselves most. And I think that needs to stop. And I'm going to hit you with some hard facts right now because they really depressed me. And when I found these facts in all the research that I've been doing lately, I really went through a dark time. I went through a dip of feeling so insignificant and so small in comparison to the suffering that's on this planet right now. So don't worry, we will get into happiness, but I want to teach you how important it is right now to tune into your happiness, because you're not actually just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for all your loved ones as well, because you see, happiness and joy is contagious, and we want that happiness and joy to become even more contagious, because if we look at the statistics of global depression rates and mental disabilities and suicide rates that are on this planet and the opioid crisis, we really need to do something, all of us. And we can only start doing something by starting with ourselves. So can I share the happiness formula now? I even wrote it out for you. So take your pen and paper. This is like at school. This is the happiness formula. Happiness consists out of S plus C plus V. And I will in a second tell you what these letters actually mean. So this is happiness, and it consists of S, which is the biological set point for happiness, plus C, which are the conditions that you have in life, plus V, which are the voluntary and conscious actions that you take every day. So happiness consists out of S, the biological set point, plus C, the conditions in life, plus V, the voluntary, intentional, conscious actions that you take every day. And I'd like to really decipher these elements for you to tell you how you can put those together and how much of that really is part of what you can influence. So I'm sure when you heard conditions of life, we said, well, that's obviously the reason why I'm not that happy, because my conditions really suck. But when we actually look at those conditions, you will discover that a lot of those you can definitely influence. And it's a lot about making the right choices. So happiness is biological set point of happiness. Maybe let's talk about that. And I'm sure you also know many people in your life who seem either more pessimistic or optimistic. And that just is a thing. You know, our brains function in different ways. And some people are just born more optimistic, are more able to see the bright side of life, are more able to see the positive things that are happening around them. And then we have those people that we usually label pessimists who have a harder time at that, who most likely see what's not right, who see the mistakes in everything. And that can often lead to us having these filters on, these glasses in life that really filter everything that we see, because you see, reality is really what you make out of it. It consists of the beliefs that you have, the thoughts that you're thinking every day. And out of those beliefs and thoughts that you're thinking, you're going to create actions that are either taking you towards your happiness or rather away from it. So that biological set point so far, we've been told is just something that is. Now, if you know Roy and me, you will know that's not a reality we accept.
Not acceptable.
Right? When everybody tells us this is just how it is, we say, wait a minute, there might be something different there. So can you talk about how you see that we can actually change that and how that biological set point comes together?
Absolutely. First of all, just something from my own family is that in our family, there's this tendency of what we call like this manic depressive cycle, and it's like given, it's like in your genes and stuff like that, but it's not. In that case, with the techniques that we have developed, we can work on changing these set points. And if I look at my own life, I used to know depression. I mean, I was a master in depression, but I felt totally powerless. It was not something, there was not something happening causing the depression. It just was, it came like in waves, and then all of a sudden you're depressed, and even had suicidal moments in my life. And still that using, in my case, I used music in the beginning, that shifted a part of the depression. And later on, when I learned acupressure techniques, also I've been able to overcome a lot of that. So it's not totally hopeless, but it can feel like that.
Yeah, and you know, society and media and the conditions around you will often maybe give you that feeling that that is just how it is, and you're a depressed person, and the only options that you have is to take some medication and then hope for the best. And if we look at the statistics, this is a global trend. We have over 300 million men and women worldwide right now suffering from depression, and unfortunately, those rates are rising. Adding to that, we have a huge opioid crisis, which means that drug-induced overdoses are actually the leading cause of accidental death in the US. Hear that? And these are not junkies in the street corner shooting themselves up with heroin. No, these are prescription drugs. So we have people who are being prescribed medicine by their doctors, hoping that this will help them, and it actually puts them in a downward cycle that not only gets them hooked on these on these medicines, but also actually creates a depression that then, unfortunately, often leads to suicide and mental disability. So depression is the leading cause of mental disability right now globally. So I think we really need to look at that and face those facts and say, okay, if this is happening, what can I do about it? And what you can do about it is create more happiness in yourself so that you can be that beam of light, so that you can be that caring, giving person, and the one who's also able to help others out of their hole and slump of depression. And if we believe the World Health Organization statistics, it's only going to get worse. So they say by 2020 or 2023, depression and suicide are going to be the leading cause of death, number one. And I'm not just going to sit there and watch. That's why we're doing this webinar, to wake everyone up and say, hey, we can do something. So we talked about the biological set point in life, right? So that we have a biological set point for happiness, and we say we can actually change that. And we'll get into that a little further on. But let's now look at those conditions in life. So that was the C in the equation. Now, conditions of life, we can think of, well, that's, you know, you're just born in some conditions. And I don't know, if I'm born in the slum of India, then I'm just going to be unhappier than if I'm born in the beautiful, affluent Western world. Not true, because those conditions are not the ones that actually make the biggest difference. So maybe now you'd like to get your pen and paper out again and write down the biggest influences on those conditions of your happiness. And the number one is, guess what? Noise. If we live in a very noisy environment, if there is no silence, if we're constantly bombarded with noise, with information, it just takes down our happiness. It's stressful. It's stressful for our entire body. Absolutely. And you know that as a medical doctor.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only that, it has also effect on the immune system. So when you're being exposed to this background noise, even though we shut it down or shut it out,
we don't consciously become aware of
it. We get accustomed to it, but it is a stress factor, not only on your mood, but also on your body in itself. And it is also shown that people live in a busy street, that they sleep less well, and all those kind of things. It's a very important factor, and it takes the body a lot of time to de-stress, and then sometimes you don't have enough time in the night to really set back, and then you jump right back in. So it's an on and off going on thing. It's very exhausting.
And here also the cards are a little stacked against us right now in the system that we're living in, because the level of noise is just increasing everywhere. And I'll call that noise, for the lack of a better word, the buzz. The buzz of information that is bombarding our brains continuously. So just 20 years ago, we were being bombarded with 5 times less noise and information than we are now. And this is also speeding up. So according to the latest statistics, and when I wrote my book, How to Use Your Intuition to Change Your Life, we actually found out that we are now facing 11 million bits of information every single second that is bombarding our brain. But right now, scientists are saying it's actually 34 gigahertz. Can you imagine that? We don't even have computers that can take that much information, and that is what is coming at us. So it's really crucial to make time for silence. And to get off those screens and to maybe sit with yourself in silence, even if you have to put those noise cancelling earphones on. But if you were to take 5 minutes of silence every day, you would change your life like that. So that's a tip I can give you right away, and we're going to be giving you many more, of course. But that is about the first biggest influence on our happiness.
One little thing, because what I've noticed in America here is that people are accustomed to have TVs on in different rooms. You go into a restaurant, you have all these TVs on and noise and all of it. It's kind of like there's a base noise that people want to have. So it can, in my opinion, could be also addictive, just to have the screens on. And maybe part of it is you don't want to be alone, or you want to just have something going on around you. So very important just to start creating spaces of silence where you can just be actually.
Yeah, you said something really important, and that is that element of distraction and numbing out that we all have as tendencies, because that's just what our brain does. If it's overwhelmed, we'll either deny it, we'll numb ourselves to it, or we'll distract ourselves. Because if our brain, or if we feel that we can't cope with something, we'll want to take action, right? So really getting that noise level down and having the courage to sit in silence and to bear silence, it's really like a gateway to peace. It really is. So learning how to create more less noise in your life is a really, really important factor. So that was just number one influence on happiness. And guess what the second one is? This really surprised me, but then again not. It's commuting. If we have long ways of long paths of commuting every day, so we have to, I don't know, sit in the car or in the train for an hour to get to work, that is a huge stress factor on life. And, you know, the funny thing is that many of us are doing that because we live in the suburbs, we live out of the towns to have a bigger house because it's usually cheaper there. And then we take commuting into consideration. We say, okay, I'll just do that because then I can have the cooler house. But actually, I'm taking away my happiness and actually creating more stress for myself, rather than maybe accepting the smaller place that's closer to my work where I do not have to commute. So commuting is really something that you need to look at. And if you are commuting, then at least make that time of commuting most pleasurable. And there you could, for instance, if you're traveling in a train or someone else is driving, you could actually use that time to meditate. You could put on those noise cancelling earphones again, and you could listen to guided meditations. You could take a nap. You could really get that brain to calm down, because here's the thing about our brains, and I think that's where we should go next before we go down the entire list of the factors that influence our happiness. Our brains are very sensitive to the frequencies that we are in, right? So we want to learn something. What kind of frequency do we want to be in? Do we want to be really stressed and jazzed up? What do you say, Dr. O?
Actually, research has shown that the more relaxed you are, the more you absorb. So actually, the crazy thing is the more we try to focus, the more narrow our range of absorption becomes. While we really relax, it's totally different. And people have different learning styles as well. We see with Grace, she likes just to be in a relaxed state when she's learning, and that also makes a big difference.
I say all children need to be in a relaxed state to be able to learn. If we stress them out, the brain just shuts down. Because let's go back to those numbers I threw at you. So we have possibly 34 gigahertz of information coming at us. At the minimum, we have 11 million bits of information. And here's the thing, our conscious mind can only focus on 126 bits a second. So 126 bits compared to these millions that are coming at us makes us need to make decisions. So we have to choose, what am I going to listen to? But if there's so much coming at us, we often get so overwhelmed that we make the wrong choices. So having a relaxed brain is essential if you want to learn and if you want to tune into your happiness.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things that we can tell you to do is just to pay attention to your breathing, to really because the stress makes us more breathe superficial. So if we just start with our breath, that also helps us to relax very, very quickly.
And at the end of this little webinar, we're going to do a short practice with you where you can actually breathe with us. Mm-hmm. And we will teach you how to not only breathe, but how to really empower that breathing with mantras, with visualizations, with the quantum field, mm-hmm. so that you can make it really powerful for yourself. So stay tuned for that. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to the list of the main influences that take down our happiness. So we had noise, we had commuting. The third one is the feeling of lack of control, which is why I went into all that overwhelm. When you feel overwhelmed, you feel that life is just happening to you. You have no control over what's happening. You have no say in what you're doing. You will feel disempowered, and that lack of control is extremely stressful and usually creates a lot of unhappiness. So
yeah, and it's often a feeling of lack of control. It's not always not having control, because you can always have an effect on how you respond to things. But the feeling of powerlessness is the one that is devastating, again, for your whole body, for your endocrine system as well.
I like how you said that, because it really is. The truth is, what can you control? So often we try and control everything around us. I feel, especially as moms, but maybe dads have this too, I don't know. But especially as a mom, you have this feeling, I've got to keep my check on everything. I've got to make sure everyone is safe. And that can create that kind of exaggerated need of control, which then prevents us from ever really relaxing. And it's the opposite of having faith. Right? If we think I've got to be on top. So that lack of control is something that you can also work on, because when you recognize where this need for control is coming from, where you learned this pattern, you can actually change those patterns. And that, I think, is an important thing to know. Again, you are not powerless. You can control one thing, and that is you. And you can control your state. You can control how you respond to what is happening to you. And by learning how to respond in a wiser, in a more compassionate, in a more relaxed way, you will actually gain more control in life. It's a kind of oxymoron.
And when we look at the function of the brains, we have the oldest part of the brain, the reptilian brain, which is the one always being
looking
aware,
for a threat.
Looking, and it has like, it's always either in flight or attack. It is like
flight,
aggression.
Fight or freeze,
yeah,
right?
So that's the part that's the oldest part of the evolution of the brain, and we needed that in previous times. But right now we need to move more to the frontal cortex. And so we go from the reptilian brain, and I like to call this a dolphin brain, where you are taking in what's happening, relax, and then decide how you want to respond. And this can be taught, this can be learned, everyone can learn.
Absolutely, and you know, that's what we often talk about in our workshops, of this is how school should be taught. If our kids were able to be relaxed and take that learning in a relaxed way, they're actually able to take in more, because when you have that peripheral vision, you feel safe, you can actually get that information into your brain, and you learn much quicker. Okay, so next main influence, number 4 we have now is, guess what? It's shame. So the feeling of shame, being shamed, feeling ashamed, feeling embarrassed for yourself, feeling not worthy to live the life that you have, that really will make you feel unhappy. And you know, the thing about shame is that it's usually coming from some belief that someone gave you at some time that you're usually not even aware of. And it was often maybe just an opinion of some other person. So these patterns, and you've heard me talk about patterns quite often maybe by now, these patterns that we pick up are ones that we pick up in our childhood. They're ones that we inherit from our parents or from our ancestors. And there's some that we bring with us into this life from what we call past lives. So we've all been around for eons of times, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. But we often have patterns in our unconscious mind that we are A, not aware of, and B, that are actually sabotaging our happiness. And one of those can be that addiction to the feeling of shame and guilt. So in our trainings and workshops and retreats, we always transform the patterns of shame, guilt, anger and sadness, because those emotions will really down your vibrations. And as we say, we need to take control of our own state, and our own state needs to be as high as possible. We need to get our vibrations up rather than going down in the dump.
And what we see now a lot also in the media is when people are shaming each other, like even celebrities, body shaming, those kind of things. And if you're internally already weak, or you're already are carrying, I call it like this little wound inside of you, then it's easy for outside influence to be really hurting and painful for you. But if you're internally strong, it doesn't matter what people say or they criticize, because we have lovers and haters. We all know that very well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all of us do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. You're never going to make it right for everybody. You're never going to be able to please everybody. So the one person you need to please first is you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are congruent with what's right for you, you will notice that the conflict around you gets less too. And patterns are beautiful, because the moment you recognize a pattern in yourself, just notice it. Notice, oh, I keep feeling this way. I have my favorite negative emotion, and we all usually have one. Some of us find it really easy, I don't know, to tap into sadness. Others find it really easy to get angry. Others enjoy being guilty the whole time. So notice, what is your favorite negative emotion? And when you notice that pattern in your everyday life, you have a moment, a window of change every single time, where you can, when you notice the pattern, say, is this really who I am? Is this really what I want right now? Or is there something else that I could now focus my attention on? What do I really want? And if you do those things, so become aware of it, take that breath, that moment of, is this what I want? And then refocus on what you really want. You are changing that pattern. You are restructuring your brain. That's the cool thing about our brain, isn't it? That it is...
neuroplasticity,
right? You can change that structure in your brain, and you can change your neural pathways. So just know that. Now, the last one, which we actually started talking about, is the main influencer that takes down your happiness, our relationships. If our relationships are not happy, if we feel frustrated in our relationships, if we feel disconnected, that will really take down your happiness. So those are the main influences of happiness. So those are the conditions, the C in life, that you really want to take a look at and see which of those could you ramp up a bit? How could you make your relationships happier? How could you make them more harmonious? How could you reduce the noise levels? How could you do less commuting and have more free time? How could you release the emotion of shame? And how could you gain control over your own state again? Because here's the thing, if you don't start controlling your brain, someone else is going to do it, and they might already be doing it. So claim back that power. Okay, so those were just the conditions of life. So that was the element C. So now let's look at the V. And the V stands for the voluntary and intentional actions that we take. And this is interesting, for when we take voluntary actions, something interesting happens in our nervous system and in our brain. What it does is that it calms us down, and it opens up our heart. So by taking voluntary actions, you can actually cultivate acceptance and release emotional attachments. And let's face it, we all get really attached quickly to different things. We can get attached to how we see ourselves. We can get attached to who surrounds us. We can get attached to all the roles that we play in life. We can get attached to food. We can get attached to drugs. We can get attached to behavioral ways, so actions that we take that are basically just habits. And then we can identify with these attachments so much that we no longer see the difference. We've forgotten who we are. And if you were to ask me what I think the biggest problem on this planet is right now, I would say it's a lack of connection. We have lost connection to ourselves, to our intuition, to our highest selves, to our bodies, and we have lost the ability, or the maybe even often the desire, to connect to others. And it's strange, because we're living in this world that is the most connected digitally than we've ever been.
Absolutely.
But that hyper-connectedness has actually created a big void in many of us, where we're actually hiding behind computer screens or hiding behind our devices and no longer going out there and making connections. And why is connection so important? Connection is so important because it's actually the basis of love. So Barbara Fredrickson, PhD, who wrote the amazing book Love 2.0, researched, what does love actually mean, and what is love? And we have so many concepts about love, don't we? And they're usually very mystical and romantic. And actually love, you know what it is? It's just moments of connection with positive reciprocity. That means that we connect with another human being or another living being. It can even be an animal. And in that connection, we feel positive emotions. So think back on the last time when you connected to someone where you really felt connected to them. It doesn't have to be your partner. It could be a friend. It could even be the girl at the supermarket. But you felt that connection. You felt you understood each other. You had that moment where you felt, I care about you. And when that happens, that positive emotion starts bouncing back and forth between people, and that creates love. And I thought that is such a beautiful explanation, because it also means that we can actually create that love every single day, every single moment. We choose to connect with another being in a positive way.
And what's very important, I believe, is that especially with people who you would not automatically connect with, people who are having a mood or a moment, or they're upset and whatever. And often we, because of our reptilian brain, we go into judgment or into defense instead of connecting from heart to heart, and that will shift the energy right away. If someone can hold the connection of love, it opens the space for the other one to relax in that too.
Thank you. So that means that we're inviting you to indulge in positive emotions. For when you do, your whole frequency changes. And that means that whoever you connect to in that bubble of joy, in that bubble of peace, in that bubble of gratitude, whatever your favorite positive emotion is, you could write that down now, right, too. You are actually creating more of that with the other person that you are connecting to. And then it can become a really fun game to go throughout your day and discover, who could I connect to in a positive way? And sometimes it might be flashing your most brilliant smile at someone who's looking sad. Sometimes it might be reaching out and helping someone. Sometimes it's just saying a kind word to someone. So become more aware of the opportunities of connection that you have every day, rather than shutting yourself down and closing off, because what you do then is you're literally closing down your heart. And that heart is connected to a really important nerve in our body. Do you want to tell us some more about that? The vagus nerve. I don't know what's happening with our screen. It's going all over the place, but I'm just going to keep talking because I trust that what we're doing here is going to be seen.
Right. If we look at it from the Chinese perspective, we talk about yin and yang. So when we look at it from the medical perspective, we talk about sympathetic and parasympathetic. And parasympathetic is often being, let's say, overwhelmed by the sympathetic, by the doing, by a rushing, by moving, by the commuting, by the noise. We get a sympathetic overload. So in Chinese medicine, we'll say we get to yang. And so by relaxing, we go into more yin. And that's the balance that we need. And the vagal nerve plays the most important role in that. And in Chinese medicine, it's called the stomach meridian, is the one that creates that balance. And the stomach is connected to nervousness and to worries and to stress. So it's really nice to see Chinese or Western and Eastern medicine to meet each other.
And I feel that's the beauty of the times that we're living in now, that these worlds are connecting. Science and spirituality are connecting. And we're actually seeing these connections, just like in the vagus nerve, that actually by bringing our system into a parasympathetic mode, by relaxing, we're actually able to create more love. And that, I think, is something we could all have more of, because love is the highest vibration on this planet. So if you're aiming to create more happiness, you want to create more moments of connection.
Right. And if you look at it from the brain structure again, when we are stressed, we are in the reptilian brain, so we don't feel safe. That's right. And we don't feel safe, we cannot connect to our heart because we are in survival mode. So once we calm that down, we now can connect to our heart, and then we are open to be in that higher frequency.
Absolutely. So it all comes together. You're seeing how that is so simple, actually. And I hope that many of this is actually resonating with you. So feel in your body, doesn't that feel exciting to be able to actually create more happiness and not be dependent on what's happening around you? Doesn't that already give you more feeling of control?
Absolutely. A nice paradox is when you walk into a restaurant, you see a table, sometimes people sitting, like a group, especially sometimes young people, and everyone's on the phone. I mean, we're out together and everyone's on the phone. Actually, we should establish rules in restaurants where the phones are being put out and we just really connect. We look into the other's eyes and share really deep connecting stories about ourselves.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just really listening.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes also I've noticed that people often feel scared even really looking into someone else's eyes.
Mm.
But by that, looking at someone else, really looking at them is the first moment of connection. We make it in a visual way. We need to see each other. So maybe next time you go out with a friend or even with a not friend, just see them and be present. And sometimes you don't need to say anything. You're just there for them. And that already will amplify your ability for connection. So these voluntary actions, they're not only about connection, although that is a huge part of it, because by connecting to others, you will create more happiness and more ability to love. But what else comes into that is when you are willing to take care of others, to be compassionate towards others, to do something out of the goodness of your heart because you feel that's what you want to do, not when you do it in a frustrated way, but when you feel, I'd like to go out and help. Go and do it, because those voluntary actions, when you're from the heart of your hearts giving to another person, are the moments that will create more happiness. So there's a nice story in The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt, where he describes a lot of what we're talking about right now. He tells a story that he asks people at universities usually, which person would you rather be? You can be Michael, and Michael, for the story, he's going to be 35 and he's this high-class executive. He maybe lives in California. He's got the super chic villa. He's got the sports car. He earns a lot of money every day. He works really hard. Do you want that life? Or would you like to have the life of Brenda? And Brenda suffers from diabetes. She has a low-income job, but she has a devoted husband that she's been married to for 30 years. And she loves connecting to her community at church. So she often goes there and helps the elderly and helps the kids. And, most people will say, well, I want to be Michael, because Michael is what we're conditioned with, right? That is what you need to strive for. You need to have the great house, maybe even the classy girlfriend, you've got to have the sports car, you've got to have the affluence and all that. But actually, Michael is less happy usually than Brenda, because Brenda has not only the relationship that is for her a solid ground, a foundation, but she also is taking many voluntary actions. She's doing social work. She's going out there and helping others. So know that when you are helping from here and you're doing it because you feel that is what you want to do, it will make you happier. So I thought that was really interesting to know.
And an added bonus is also you will live longer. When the research is done to the blue zones, they see a strong social base is so important. And that's why these communities, these simple communities, they live much longer than people live in the cities, running around and all of that. So connection is also there, very crucial.
That's right. And that's also a reason why we created the Joy Tribe. I just wanted to have a platform where we could get together from all walks of life, from all nations, and help each other create more happiness. So thank you for being a member. So we talked about attachments, because the good thing that voluntary actions do is they help us decrease that level of attachment, so that it weakens kind of our emotional attachment to things. And we all know that the only constant in life is what?
Change.
That's right, change. So change is going to happen. Change happens the whole time. You cannot control that. But if we're emotionally attached to what we have, what is, then we will create a lot of stress for ourselves and we'll quickly feel overwhelmed when change happens and things don't go the way we want them. And going to be honest here again, don't things usually go different than we think or that we planned them to do? So having a secure relationship towards attachment is really important. And I'd like to just run a few ideas by you here about this emotional attachment, because there are 3 different patterns that psychology shows us of how we do attachment, because we all have attachment, but in the best case, we have a secure form of attachment. And I'm going to explain it to you in the way that I would for children. So when you're a child and you have a secure level of attachment, then you are going to feel safe in your home. And you're also going to feel okay and safe if your mom, for instance, goes out and does some groceries and comes back later and you're left with another guardian. If you do not have a secure level of attachment, you will either have an avoidant or a resistant pattern of attachment. The thing here is, if you were to take a group of kids again, and you take this group of kids and you put them in a room and you say, okay, say bye-bye to mummy, you're now going to play, then you will see these 3 different patterns play out. The ones who have a secure level attachment might be a little stressed because mom's going, but they will have that faith in them, that confidence that mom's going to come back and I'm okay on my own too. That's a secure level of attachment. If I have an avoidant level of relationship towards attachment, then I'm going to get super stressed out. I will get really clingy to the other person who's looking after me, and I will be suppressing my emotions. And we often see that, interestingly, between the genders, we see boys doing that more often. So boys will try and distract themselves, suppress the emotions, and then the girls will go and get really clingy, and it's very stressful for the child. So an avoidant pattern in attachment is not something you want to hold on to. You want to transform that. And then the third one is a resistant pattern of attachment, and those are those children who never calm down after mom has left. Even if mom comes back, they will actually resist being comforted by mom, and they will never ever kind of go into that relaxation again and be able to play. So we want to train our brains to be secure in our attachments, to feel safe in ourselves, so that we know whenever something changes, I can find that security in myself.
Absolutely. And some of these are also, of course, trauma related, but a lot of it is also how we deal with our children, how much security we give them, how much we motivate them, reinforce them in getting this strong sense of self. And I think as parents, there's a very important role we have to play to have children with high self-worth as well.
Yeah, and we're not here shaming or blaming parents, by the way.
We all make mistakes.
So, absolutely. And so often it's parents can't do it any different because they didn't learn it different. So look at your own patterns of emotional attachment. Which one do you resonate with? And you'll find it in your relationships. If you're not feeling safe in your relationships, are you just suppressing everything but still really feeling stressed out? Or are you more the resistant one where you're kind of pushing it away? You're not even going into connection anymore. So once you notice the pattern, you can change it. And we'll share a little brain hack with you in a moment to show you how you can change any pattern. Just like this. With practice over the course of 90 days with this simple brain hack, you can change your pattern and create a more healthy pattern, whether it's an emotional pattern you need to create or whether it's a stronger belief in yourself. It doesn't really matter. Any pattern that you become aware of, you can change. Hear that?
And you mentioned the 90 days, and we talked about the brain's plasticity. So we need the 90 days to really change the brain. So if you do it too short, like 30 days, some people even might think 21 days, it's not enough to permanently change the brains, so it can now become on autopilot. And that's why we always say a minimum of 90 days, no matter that some people might do it in 60, but 90 is a safe, where we know that everyone who goes through it for 90 days for sure will change their brains.
We feel secure in that, right?
Yes, very secure.
And that actually brings up the question that I mentioned is, why can't we go from feeling unhappy straight into bliss? Why is that so hard? Well, I like comparing it to going from angry to forgiveness. That's a huge jump. If you feel someone's really hurt you or you're struggling with forgiveness, then you can't go from angry into, oh yeah, it's all okay, I forgive you. You can do it up here, but it's not going to resonate here. And that's why when we're angry, we first need to take that step into acceptance. And that acceptance will then help us get into the forgiveness mode. And it's similar with bliss. If we're feeling depressed or overwhelmed or disconnected, we first need to find that joy in us, that innate joy that doesn't come from what's happening out there, but it happens because you're feeling good in yourself. You're connected to you. You're secure in you. You feel safe. And when that happens, then we can go into bliss. And that's why when we create our 90-day programs, we know this is how it just works best, because we can really take everybody by the hand and say, come on, it doesn't matter where you are. We know in 90 days, we can get you up into bliss mode.
Absolutely. And what's also important, because I think that's one of the most important things we're going to tell you right now, is that to find the joy inside yourself is just training. It's always there, but we are so focused on other things. We're so busy with life that we don't take the time to go inside. If you look at all the people who meditate, all of them comes out, they come out meditation always peaceful. And then the question is, are you going to jump back into the wild river, or can you maintain that? And that's exactly what we're offering, is how do you maintain that joy in the craziness of life?
Yeah, and how can you then, because everything else comes from that, are you then able to create healthy boundaries? Are you then able to create good agreements with other people so that you actually don't get into that frazzlement and that buzz anymore, but you're actually able to take care of yourself? And I think that is something we really all need to do, is start taking better care of ourselves. But here's the thing, so often we've been conditioned to do the opposite. So some of you might have heard, okay, voluntary actions means I need to do even less for myself and even more for others. No, no, no. You need to come, that's why I keep saying you need to come from a place of peace and joy and power before you start going out and then serving others. So that is why we really, in our programs, work hard is the wrong word. We work very diligently on really uncovering all the unconscious patterns that we've all picked up, because we have 3 ways that we can pick up patterns, right? I told you those. It's this life, it's an ancestral pattern, or it's a past life pattern. And once you know where it's coming from, it's really easy to shift.
Absolutely. And it's not about belief or anything. We now know from epigenetics that we can inherit emotional things also from our previous generations. The past life issue is not a matter of belief. It's when we work with hypnosis, and if you believe it or not, if you relax deep enough, you can just shift and go and have memories as if you have a past life. So let's just assume that we all have memories of past life that can influence us in this life. And things come back in this life for us to clear. So it's not, we don't really need to go into past lives. We just need to work with the things at hand. So if you believe in it or not, it doesn't change what you have to work with. That's just, if you're not a believer, that's fine too. We can still work with you.
Yeah.
It's not about.
No, and what I was saying is that so often we're conditioned to go against ourselves. We haven't been taught to take care of ourselves. And that can be because our parents didn't know it themselves, because we've bought into some religious dogma that tells us that's wrong, that's kind of guilty if you do that, or it's just media. You know, you'll have those patterns, once you notice them around you, who are giving you maybe the idea that you cannot love yourself. And at the end of this webinar, we'd like to do a practice with you, a really, really simple practice that you can do every single day to actually increase that ability to love yourself.
Yeah, and is it no time to talk about positive affirmations?
Yes, please. This is the perfect time.
Because, you know, we've been around for so long, and we have people who are reciting like positive affirmations and mantras.
I am happy.
I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm slim, and all those kind of things. What we have shown with our research and measuring the body stress, when you say something and you say a sentence that's not true, the body immediately goes into stress. So if you're saying I'm happy, but you're not, actually you're creating a bigger stress. So, and that's why what happens when you're reciting these mantras and these positive affirmations, what you become good at is reciting positive affirmations while you're stressing.
And lying to yourself.
Right. And it can be very, very frustrating because things don't really change fundamentally. So the trick is to connect to moments where you were happy. So let's say you want to feel bliss, go back to a moment where you feel bliss and bring that experience back. And now you say, I am bliss, because now it's true for your body, and now you're reinforcing what is. And also you need to pay attention to your body's physiology. So if you're like slumped and you're in a state, I'm happy, that doesn't work. So you really need to change your physiology, open your heart, breathe as if you're happy. So the brain's immediately now physiologically connect to those states of happiness, and now you say, I am happy. And now you feel it, you hear it, and you reinforce that what is. And so that's the big difference that we need to do in order to make this really work, and not just mentally say you're happy and this and that. That's not what we teach at all.
That's right. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, it really describes this so well in his books. It's the actual emotion, like you were saying, of remembering a happy moment that creates that emotion in us, that is the juice that's going to take you into that quantum reality, that field where you'll actually be able to create more of it. So you want to feel the feeling and not just recite the mantra inside of your mind. So this is the perfect moment to also teach our great technique, right?
Absolutely.
A technique that we teach to little toddlers and to 99-year-olds. It does not matter in all nations, right? We call it the switch, and many of you might know it. And this is an encouragement to you to use this switch more often. Use it as your switch. Use it as a switch that you can use anytime you notice you're feeling less than good. Anytime you notice you've got a belief going up on there in your mind that is actually taking you down. Anytime you notice you're judging like crazy.
You're stuck in a pattern. It's a pattern break. It breaks the pattern.
So you developed this technique many, many years ago, and it's very simple. All you need is two hands, a palm of your hand where you're going to do a little karate chop in, and then you switch. So while I do this, would you like to tell us a little bit more about this technique?
Yeah. So what's very important is that you need to know that in your hands we have all these reflex points from the whole body, also the meridians, the endocrine system, your back, your internal organs, and all of that. And this point here, where we make a fist, is connected to the heart meridian. So, and this is a point that we use in acupuncture for emotional overwhelm. So we are stimulating this point on one side, that's step one, but at the same time we are actually also stimulating all the other reflex points. And when we go left and right, we are stimulating left and right brain, so we create momentarily a balance again in the brain. When we are stuck in a pattern, it means that we are now not in balance in our brain. So by switching, that's what we call it, the switch. We doing that, we are again going back and creating like this kind of wave of relaxation in the brain. And then we can add positive affirmations, because they go straight into your subconscious mind, because your conscious mind cannot deal with so much information, so it will accept whatever you're saying that in that moment. So when you use the words I am, for example, I love and accept myself, I am relaxed, I am in my power, while you're doing this, that will recondition the brain. And what we've noticed is that at some point you go in a free flow, right? That you just start saying things that is coming like from somewhere, and that's when you really connect it also with the wiser part of yourself.
So the next time you feel less than happy, you're feeling stressed out, say you're at the supermarket and someone rammed the trolley in the back of your leg, and then you dropped everything, and then, I don't know, the lady at the cash out was really mean to you, and you're feeling like this. Notice what's going on, notice the pattern, and then start switching and breathing. Speak quietly. Can you do your ninja switch?
No, but people need to know that it's, you can do it. Normally you do it like this, as fast as you can. And smile is very important, so then the brain believes that you are blissed.
That's right. And then you're going to say to yourself, I love and accept myself, even if I feel unhappy right now. And breathe. And I love and accept myself, listen, when I now choose to feel happy. So you're first always accepting what is. I love and accept myself. That's a given. Right. Even if I feel unhappy, even if I feel unstressed, even if I feel angry, even if I feel shameful, I love and accept myself. Then you breathe. And then you say, and I love and accept myself when I now choose to feel happy, to feel bliss, to feel at peace, to feel in love. So you always take what is, and then you switch it to where you want to go. That is a technique that really has changed the life of so many, just by them doing it in those moments when they catch themselves off guard and reframe, break the pattern of that old habit, and then tap into that frequency, that vibe, that goal of what they actually want. So do that technique every day. If you stick to it and you do it 90 days, guess what? Your entire life will change. We promise you that. We know so, because it really helps you reclaim your power back, and it helps you train your brain. And that's what we're experts in.
One of my biggest moments were when I heard from some kindergarten teachers teaching this in the kindergarten and telling the results of the kids, how the kids respond, and how these get these emotionally wiser kids that can really have the power to deal better with their emotions. So it's just something you want to share also with the young ones.
Yeah. Then the next exercise, you might want to get your pen and paper out now, is notice which words you use. Which are the 3 top words that you use for when you're not happy, when you're kind of less positive, when you're in a negative state. what do you say about yourself? Do you say, oh, I'm so worried, I am so stressed, I am so frustrated, I am so angry, I am so pissed off, I am miserable? What are your top 3 negative words that you use to describe yourself? And now think, what could you say instead? How could you tone it down? How could you take the drama out of it? Because usually we exaggerate. Usually we'll go way over the top and then say, oh, I am miserable, just because we're feeling a little down. So instead of saying that, you could say, instead of saying furious, you could say, I'm a little irritated right now. Or if you're feeling overwhelmed, you could say, I'm feeling uncomfortable. But you're not going into the drama anymore. You're stating what is. You're not pretending as if it's not there, but you're no longer, ramping up that volume. So that's the first exercise you'd like to do right now, is note down the 3 words that you use most of the time. I found it really insightful to think about that, because I noticed mine were, I'm so concerned. That's what I often say. And then I'm so tired. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of that. So I am reframing that too. And I've noticed already, just in the last days of practicing this, that the people around me are starting to rethink their words too. So check out what you're doing there and choose how you're going to reframe that. Okay, beautiful. Nice. Then the next one is note the 3 words that you use to say something is good. And how could you make those 3 words even more powerful? So maybe when somebody asks you, how are you today? You'll say, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm fine. What if you said, I'm spectacular. I'm fabulous. I'm amazing. I'm stunning. I am, what is it? How could you ramp up the volume of your positive words? And what would be your 3 favorite positive words that you could make a promise to yourself to use more often?
Absolutely. And what's important here is to connect it with feelings. So when you say, I'm awesome, you don't say, I'm awesome. You want to really put your energy into it, and this immediately lifts your mood up. So, and when you make that a habit, each time you say it, you immediately shift to a higher energy frame.
So then we have, of course, especially in the US, people often say, how's it going? How are you, right? It's often asked, and then often we just give them, okay, good, whatever. Now, our suggestion is the next time someone asks you, think of an answer response that you could give that would break the pattern and would lift the energy. So that doesn't mean that you need to start lying to everybody and say, oh, I'm fabulous, if you're actually feeling really down. But you could say something like, oh, I don't know if you really want to know how I'm doing right now. You have no idea how I'm doing. Or you could just smile and laugh. Or you could say, I'm committed. I'm grateful. What are things that you could use as a new habit of responding to how's it going? So I like, I'm grateful. I think that's a nice one, because there's always something to be grateful for. What would be yours, do you think?
I'm better than yesterday and not as good as tomorrow.
That's right. That's what I say when I'm struggling with some physical issue, or if I'm in pain. I say, somebody asks you, how are you? I'm saying, every day and every way I'm getting better, or every hour I am getting better. So you really want to think about how you speak to yourself and others, because those are vibrations that are either increasing your happiness or taking them down. Okay.
And then all these are habits, right? So we're talking about habitual patterns in communication that will affect your physiology and how you feel.
Then the tip we'd like to give you is to play more. Be more playful. I think we've all got so incredibly serious and so bogged down in all the things we have to do. Even if we have to do things, we can make them more fun for ourselves, can't we? We can do things differently just for the sake of doing it different. You can put on beautiful music or rock music when you're, cleaning the house. You can make those tasks that you have to do more fun and playful, because here's the thing, all mammals play. Humans or beings with a large frontal cortex, with a neocortex, play. So this playing is so valuable, and I think we all need to play more, because it actually helps our brain become more intelligent. There's a beautiful saying. It says, a child who stays safe survives. A child who explores and plays develops the intelligence and the skills it needs for the adult life. So we have to play more. And if you want to stay growing and learning, you need to schedule time for play. whatever that play means for you. And we know also from science of looking at the gut health and things like the microbiome, that actually going and playing in your garden, playing with your dogs, playing with your animals is something that increases your gut health. So it's coming back from all directions. Play more. Then the next one, I think now is the time to do our little practice. Okay, so this is a beautiful practice that will not only increase your ability for self-love, but it'll also increase your ability to connect to others. And it actually comes from the Buddhist tradition of the loving kindness meditation. And by practicing this simple meditation that can often just take 5 minutes or even less, you are increasing the tone of your vagal nerve. You're able to open your heart more to the experience of love, and you're able to actually really tap into what self-love means, even if you right now have no concept for that. So the sentences I would love you to write down, and you can of course adapt them as you wish, but this is the basic structure, is you start out by blessing yourself. So you take a deep breath in. No, don't take a deep breath in. Do take a deep breath in, but let's write it down first. The first sentence is, may I feel safe. May I feel safe. The second sentence is, may I feel happy. May I feel happy. May I feel healthy. May I feel healthy. And the last one is, may I live life with ease. May I live life with ease. So you start out with saying, may I feel safe. May I feel happy. May I feel healthy. And may I live life with ease. So you start out the meditation by taking a deep breath in and exhaling through your mouth, maybe. And again, breathe in and exhale with a sigh. Last time, breathe in and exhale. And you can close your eyes now if you feel comfortable, or you can just allow your gaze to become soft and start noticing your breath. And as you take deep belly breaths, maybe you'd like to even place your hands on your belly to notice how your belly expands and rises like a little mountain and then goes down again. Just become aware of your breath and find your center. And now imagine that you are speaking to yourself as this beautiful little baby just born on this planet. And you're thinking of that beautiful baby just born fresh to this planet, so innocent, so pure, so beautiful. And then you're speaking to this baby, wishing it well, blessing it, by repeating silently inside of yourself, may I feel safe. May I feel healthy. May I feel happy. And may I live life with ease. And now imagine that you're speaking to another baby and you're saying, may you feel safe. May you feel happy. May you feel healthy. And may you live life with ease. And continue breathing into your heart. And notice how those positive emotions inside of you are starting to maybe get stronger now. Maybe you can notice how your heart is opening up a little more, becoming softer. You're feeling even more relaxed in yourself. And then think of someone you really love. And then wish them well and say, may you feel safe. May you feel happy. May you feel healthy. And may you live life with ease. And then maybe you have a little smile on your face as you see them doing well, wishing them well. And now you could take it further. You could wish yourself well again, repeating, may I feel safe. May I feel healthy. May I feel happy. May I live life with ease. And you could keep repeating this mantra, wishing all animals on this planet well, all plants, all beings. May all beings feel safe. May all beings feel happy. May all beings feel healthy. And may all beings live life with ease. And if you do this little meditation every morning, maybe on your lunch break, or before you go to sleep, or all three, you will notice how your heart is opening more, you're able to feel more compassion for others, and you will create more happiness in yourself. So this simple, loving kindness meditation is one of my favorite practices to create bliss. And that's what we're about, isn't it? We want to help you create bliss. So we've created a 90-day program called Live Your Bliss. And we have a few more spots left that we would love to invite you to grasp the chance for. So if you are interested in creating this bliss in your life so that you can truly live that life that you deserve to live, that life of your dreams where you are happy and healthy and living life with ease, it's possible. If that wish is there, if it's bubbling up inside of you, we might just be the ones to be the right guides to take you there. We know from our experience of literally coaching thousands of people from all over the planet, we can do it. If you're ready for it, we'll help you achieve that. And how we do that is we really created this 90-day program as a hybrid program. So it's offline and online. The online part is that we first meet in a one-on-one call to determine that one obstacle, that one thing that's now taking away from your happiness. And we will do that, as I said, one-on-one with you on a phone call, 30 minutes with us. And up until now, we've had quite a few calls, right? Every single one of them has had their aha, said, yes, this is the thing I need to work on. Because, you know, sometimes we think we've got to change it all and it gets overwhelming. We'll have a whole list. If I don't like this, I don't like that, I want a new job and I want a new figure and I want a new relationship or whatever. That's too much. If you focus on one thing and you really give that one thing your all, you'll create change in all the other areas too. So in that first call, we determine that one thing. Then we meet every 2 weeks on an online platform called Zoom, which you are on right now, where we can actually see each other, where we can talk to each other. You can ask us the questions that you have. We have hot seats, so we actually have mini interventions, like 20 minutes, where we will give you all our attention and really work on that personal issue that you're struggling with at that moment. We do that every 2 weeks. You're connected to an amazing community of souls from all over this world who are coming together in our crystalline coaching community, who we meet every 2 weeks and we connect with, and we help them achieve their greatest and grandest version of self. So we meet online, we do that for every 2 weeks, and then we get to hang out together here in beautiful Asheville at our sanctuary. And we will have a beautiful weekend retreat, meeting on the Friday evening for a fun party. And then we have Saturday, Sunday, where we really can dive deep, where we can clear those emotional patterns, where we work on the biological set point for happiness so that you can switch it. We will show you how that goes. And we basically clear all the junk out of the system so that you can retrain your brain to actually create that happiness. And then it's not over. After that retreat, we again meet on a one-on-one call to make sure that you really have everything that you need continuing forward to create more and more happiness as you go on. Because you see, we discovered in all the workshops that we've been teaching and all the programs that we created that we were missing that link. We were missing that ability to be one-on-one with people and really make sure that they're getting that one thing that they really need.
Right. And, you know, normally we charge a lot of money for one-on-one coaching.
Oh, yeah.
And we were looking for a program where we can have a small group of people, not a big group of people, where we can really make a huge difference as if we would be doing one-on-one. So, and I think we really have a great...
We've nailed it this time. So I'm already so excited about all the people that I've already met in my one-on-one calls. It's a fabulous group of people. They're all kinds of different problems that we've identified. One of them can be weight loss. Some are just really unhappy in their body. And if only they were able to love their bodies more, they'd love everything else more. For others, it's really they're struggling in relationships. Others are struggling with self-worth. It doesn't matter. If you know that you would like to create change, this program is for you. If And, you know, it's going to be so easy to do. This is not an online program where you just download some files that are totally, I don't know, impersonal, but this is really hands-on. This is our way of how we can really get to know you and have that personal connection with you that is often hard in big workshops with 500, 600, 700 people.
And then also what we've noticed is what they call the collective brain.
Yeah.
So that even though we may be working with one person first, but there's a resonance wave going on because we all are interconnected in some way or the other and recognize from each other. So it's always beautiful to see the ripple effect in the community when someone is healing. It everybody is elevated in that energy.
Oh yes, when we witness healing in another, we are mirror neurons. No, if she can do it, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it.
It's like they say the tide lifts all boats.
Yes, a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's what this community is about. So you have 90 days to really ramp up that happiness and create bliss, because we know in 90 days we can do that. So we would love to invite you to take part in that program. And we have a special gift for all those of you who are now live online. And that means if you feel it in here and you say, this is it, and I know I'm not going to get this chance to have such cost-effective one-on-one coaching with Joy and Roy and be at their sanctuary and really get to know each other, then the first 3 on this call will be upgraded to our VIP level. And that means that you will get half a day before the retreat starts and half a day after the retreat is over, again with us in a group, so that the small group of VIPs, we can then dive even deeper and we can make sure that we give you that special thing that might have come up in the time. So the first 3 on this call who are watching live now, who feel that resonance and would like to take part in this Live Your Bliss program, sign up now. This is your chance to become a VIP for free. You cannot buy this outside of this program. It's actually something that we only created for our crystalline coaching community members who are our VIPs. So it's a very, very small group, because the entire Live Your Bliss program, it maxes out at 30 participants, because we know 30 people are what we can handle in a deep personal level. And when we're full, we're full. And if you would like to be part of the VIP program, there will be a maximum of, I think, about 10 people at the most. So you will get extra time with us before the retreat and after the retreat. And we're giving everyone on this call, I love this meditation. It's called the Unshakable Faith Meditation. So if you were live online with us, and you are right now, then you are getting that meditation for free. So I don't think we can give more than that. We can't make it more attractive. Oh, you might want to know that Asheville is a really, really beautiful, awesome place to visit. It's the, #1 tourist destination on the Lonely Planet guy, I believe it is. It's booming right now because it's such a gorgeous place in nature. You have mountains, you have waterfalls. It's pristine here. And at the retreat, we really make sure that we pamper you so that you are having just organic, beautiful food. You're like a guest in our home. So this is your chance, and we hope that the ones where it really says yes to are now going to make that jump, because it might not come again, because this is not something that we can do often with our busy schedules. So we've carved out this time to be able to create this bliss with you, because it just gives us so much bliss. Absolutely. Right?
What do they need to do in order to?
There'll be a sign-up link that you can sign on. You can go to crystalline.com right away and click on the Live Your Bliss program and fill out your application form. Do so now. We really want to know who you are, where you're coming from, what is it that you want to work on. Even if you don't know the exact thing that you want to work on, we're going to help you find that in our one-on-one call. The only thing that you need to be ready for is ready for change. If you want to create that life of your bliss, then say yes now.
Absolutely.
And I know some say, I don't have the time to do this. Do you have time for a half an hour chat with Rai or me? I think so. Half an hour? Come on. Then do you have time every 2 weeks to pick up a phone call or to press a link on a computer and just listen or take part or watch? I think so. And do you have time to come away for a weekend in November? I think you can plan that right now, because here's the thing. you are the most important person in your life, and nobody's going to create change for you unless you want that change, until you say yes to whatever it is. It doesn't have to be our program, but you're the one who's going to create that change. And I feel change is best created in a safe community, in a safe setting, with people who actually know what they're doing. And from the decades of work that we've been doing, we know that we can create change in other people's lives when they're ready for it. And we are here to give you all the tools, all the practices, everything you need to make that happen. So you can trust yourself. You can trust yourself to do this because it's a personal program. We know you. You're part of our family then. It's not some program where you're part of hundreds of others and it's some digital download and you might never do it. This is different. And that's why I'm so excited about it, because it actually gives me so much joy to be able to connect to you so deeply and really get to know you.
And our biggest pleasure is to see you fly.
Oh, yeah.
This is for us, I mean, there are no words that can express when you can share with people the techniques that really make the big shift in their lives. For me, that's the top of everything we've done so far. To see people become successful, happy, and living your bliss is, I think, the beautiful program for that.
I agree. So, my loves, we have given you everything that we can give right now. Tidying up, I'd like to give you one more tip.
Oh.
Yeah, you ready for that? And that is to find your flow. And if you want to know what flow is, then it's a state that most people prefer to chocolate after sex. Is that a thing? Yes, it is. So if you say there's something better than chocolate after sex, it's the state of flow. And the state of flow actually just means that you are so immersed into an action that is suited to your skills, but that you don't quite have the skills for yet, but you know you would, right? That time disappears. You're like in this effortless movement. And finding that flow is actually pretty simple, because what you need to do for that is you need to increase your levels of happiness. So schedule happiness, make happiness a priority in your life, because that happiness will create more of that state of flow. And when we have that state of flow, work is no longer a burden. We enjoy it. Time flies because we're doing what we love and we're resonating with the people who resonate with us. We're connecting to ourselves, to others, and life really turns around once we find that flow. So find that flow by scheduling your happiness, scheduling your play dates, scheduling your time for your loving kindness meditation. Remember to do the switch. Take deep breaths. Do not accept that you are stuck where you are. You are not. You have the power to change, and we're here to give you all the tools you need to create that in a safe community that really wants to see you thrive.
Wow. Let's flow.
Yeah, let's flow. So, big hugs and kisses from Roy and I.
Thank you for watching and being with us. We really appreciate you.
Yes, we do. We appreciate all of you, and thank you for giving us your precious time. And we look forward to creating tons of bliss with you. Absolutely. So join our bliss train, hop on board, and know that the first 3 that sign up right now are going to be automatically upgraded to VIP level. You get 2 extra half days with us. Normally, I can tell you what it is. I actually usually just coach Chinese businesswomen, and they pay us hundreds and thousands of dollars for this. So this is your chance, because we really care about you and we want to make sure that money is not an issue.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.